Well, obviously, it's a rivalry week. This rivalry goes back, 119 years. Um, Territorial Cup is involved in this. Really emotional fan bases when it comes to this football game. It's one of the longest rivalries in college football, so that's always good. I think our players, not so much the freshmen, but the guys that have played in this game, have competed in it, they understand the validity of it. There's some unpleasantries that are exchanged by fan bases and everything else. A competitive environment, I think, for the players, fans too. A little bit of the John, and that's what make rivalry games so unique. This is a really unique one. This week I'll actually have some guys that have been involved in this game come speak to the team. Every day we'll have a different speaker, kind of talk about the history of it, what it's meant to them. That'll be fun, and especially for the young guys to understand that this some similar to high school rivalry games that these guys have grown up playing. Now they're getting into a big-time college rivalry game, so it makes it a lot of fun this week, and look forward to hearing guys tell stories about the game, which will be kind of unique. Questions?
Coach Paul Richardson with the Sportscape. So for a week like this, when there are emotions or people coming in to speak, for the players, do you talk that up a little bit more, or do you just kind of still treat this as this is a business trip, we're going to play football?
Well, I think you're going to talk it up. I mean, you have to. I mean, this is part of the rivalry, and I think all players know about rivalry games. I can still go back to my high school. My first rivalry games against Seaside High, and Toradors against the Spartans. And it happened a long time ago. Growing up, you knew this was a big game, and this was the game that you waited to play every year. So I think for these guys, especially our freshman crew, they're going to play in this game a lot, and they have to know what it means. And I think history is always a good thing. I'm a firm believer in sports. Young players sometimes don't know the history of the sport they're involved in, and I think it's a good thing. It makes it a lot of fun, and so I'm enjoying this week.
What else? Howard Rubino, Devil's Digest. Where do you feel the change was in the defense in the second half? Was it really as simple as just having Merlin Robertson, or was this real?
No. I know Merlin the magician, right? He comes out there and all of a sudden they hold him to 3 points. He's not that good yet, trust me. Just adjustments and a lot of things. You know, we said going into that game last week that we had to withstand the barrage they were going to send at us, because they were excited about playing. Obviously, senior night. They had a great fan base. They were hollering and screaming, and they got off to an early lead. And we said we had to withstand that. And I thought when we walked in at halftime, talk to the players and say, look, this is what's going to take. Second half, we can move the ball on them. We can do some adjustments defensively. Obviously, Merlin helped, but then we just played a lot better. You know, the turnovers helped us. It was one of those games that it went kind of back and forth the second half. We kept the score down. We had to chip away with some field goals. That hurt us. But then when we scored, you know, we gave them opportunities. A big kickoff return. We had him on a third down, and they hit a pass, and we tackle him. We don't. Gets down there. So we had some missed opportunities. And then we stubbed our toe a couple times on offense. And it was one of those games, I thought at the end when I walked into the circle, when we had possessed the ball with 3 minutes left, I said, hey. And they looked at me, they said, Coach, we know. I said, go do it then. Just let's go finish the game off. We will get in position where we can kick a field goal or score. But I said the clock is our enemy. You know, we don't want to give them time on the clock. We don't want them to possess the ball anymore. That was the plan. Didn't work out. Got to give them credit. They stopped us, and they win a football game. We lose another one by a score. 2 points this time.
Coach, Shane Dale, ABC 15. You talked about learning the history of the rivalry.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to learn just some of the reasons why this rivalry is so emotional?
Yeah. Coach Bakke, obviously, he's a historian on this, and he's going to speak to the team tomorrow. And when I first took the job, it was the first guy I spoke with. And, you know, Al Luganbill's here, and he was on the staff, and so you hear a lot about it. You know, stories get told, and the story always changes. But they're stories. They're tall tales, and that's what's good about it. You hear about the things that happened when they were coaching, Another guy took over, and it's a good history lesson to learn, and I think it's important. And for young guys, I want them to understand it because they're going to deal with this every year, and I think it's important for football. It's something that makes football unique.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Coach?
Yes.
It's clear what's on the line down in Tucson. They win.
They're in, yeah.
Right.
Get a bowl bid.
You guys would have to manufacture something. So what are you telling the team is at stake?
Well, shoot, it's a rivalry week. It's a big game. I mean, it really is a big game. But also, you want to finish the season with a win, and on the road for us. I mean, that's the best road record I think in our conference is 4-1, the Pac-12, and that's Washington State. We have not played well on the road. I told you when I took this job, they had not played well on the road. That is something that we got to fix. This is the last time we'll play a Pac-12 contest this season against a worthy opponent who's gotten better. I think Coach has done a really good job with those guys down there. They're a very competitive football team. What happened last week is what happened. That doesn't matter. This is a whole new slate. Arizona State versus Arizona. We get it. And so I just think for us, you win this game, it probably gives you a better seed at a different bowl game. I think all bowl games are important, but all of a sudden you might get slated in another bowl game because of the record. So those things are involved in it, and you want to win a game. You want to win a football game again. That's important. You put too much work in this not to try to win a game. I don't know that. I don't get into that. It's more about just winning the game. I don't worry about all that other stuff. That's just stuff. I mean, I'm not maybe the fans get excited about that. And then that's fine, and they can brag on that, and that's okay. I mean, I get that. That's what they do, and that's why they're so passionate, and that's why you need a fan base. And we have a good fan base. They got a great fan base, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hi, Coach.
Hello.
Justin Cedric, Channel 12. Arizona State and the fans have been in the position they were before where it seemed like it was right there, it was attainable, but it was ripped out from underneath them, and now this game has less implications. How do you come in and change the story and the outcome of this moving forward with your program?
Well, I think for us, there was a lot of wet eyes in our locker room after losing that football game, and I think we got to recover from that. It was hard for a lot of guys, especially the guys that are seniors. That we put ourselves in a position, to their credit, they fought all year, and to get themselves in a position where they control their destiny per se, and to fall short was hard. I mean, that was the toughest one I've been in with these guys so far. We've lost one-score games, but that was a tough one. A lot of guys were emotionally they were upset, and they had a right to be. But I just think we grow from that. You got to grow from opportunities and experiences you've been in, and I think that'll be kind of what we talk about in the off season. Kind of some things we accomplished, some things that we fell short on, and how can I do a better job to make them understand that when you get into games and you lose by a score, there's moments that you have to take advantage of to win the game. And we didn't do that in 5 games where we actually had a chance, and we did not do that. And I think we'll grow from that. We have a bunch of young guys that have been involved in those games that will have some leadership roles on this team. There'll be a young crew of young men that come in here once the recruiting process starts. That'll be a part of that program as well. These young guys have to lead them now, and it's going to be their football team here shortly. And so I just think when you put yourself in position all the time, eventually you learn how to win those games. You win more than you lose. We haven't done that, okay? And that's where we got to grow. But first you got to get them in the position, and then from there they got to make it happen. So that's something we got to improve on.
Herm, Doug Haller, The Athletic. When there's a close play on the field, can you kind of explain the protocol of whether or not
The officials?
Well, no, whether there should be a review process. Do your coaches up top say it, or do you guys talk about it on the sideline?
Yeah, it's not like the NFL. You know those things are going to be reviewed because it's any scoring play is going to be reviewed. Generally, you would assume a play like that was going to be reviewed, and you talk to the official, said it's going to be reviewed, and he said no, they're not going to look at it. I said, really? He says, no. And I said, what am I going to do? Argue with the guy? I'm going to go, okay. He says, wasn't reviewed. He was out. Well, I don't have time to argue with him. I said, okay. I got to move on and say, this is what's going to happen. This is what we got. Because once he said that, I'm in the next mode. Okay, now we got to stop him. And guess what? We did. And we got the ball back. And we had a chance again. And to the credit of the players, they gave themselves another chance. And, you know, we tie it. Okay, that's great. But we still have to win it with the possessing the ball. So we still got the ball back. We were able to use some timeouts, stop them. We got the ball, turnover, whatever it may be. And we had a chance at the end, and we just didn't finish it off. But that's kind of what happens. And you know, I don't get involved in officiating. I'm smarter than that. I've been around too long. I just say what it is. It's okay. Because I've never seen a coach change a call because you talk to the official. It ain't going to work. In the history of football, it never works. Don't happen that way. Don't waste your time. Just move on. Because for me, if I start going ballistic, which I'm never going to do, if you see me do that, I'm done. I'm walking off the field and I'm retired. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. I just believe there's a process. Once the decision's made, I'm moving on to the next play. That's how I want my players to play. That's how I coach. I don't sit there and what if this and what, I don't know what's. There's still time on the clock, boys. We got to do this now. And we got ourselves back in position where we possessed the ball, and all we had to do was get it around about the 20-yard line. It might have been Michigan State again. Didn't happen for us.
Coach, back to the concept of rivalries. There was a guy who came in. I'm not going to point him out, but he's got a hat on that might kind of boil your blood because you played for the Eagles. And
How about them Cowboys? I was a Cowboy fan back in the day. Used to be a Cowboy fan until I went to Philly.
So I'm curious about some of your personal thoughts about rivalry games, whether pro, college, or whatever.
I just think they're fun. You know what's happened in the NFL, especially for me. When I came in the league was different. There was no free agency. Generally, players stayed on teams, and so you were always with that team unless you got traded or you got cut and somebody picked you up. So there was no. So you were with him. So you played against players, you know, Drew Pearson and Tony Hill and it was Golden Richards for a while. You know, Roger Staubach. It was Dallas. For us, it was if you were going to win the NFC East, it went through Dallas. And that was the rivalry game for the Philadelphia Eagles. It was the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone had to beat the Dallas Cowboys if you were going to go to the Super Bowl. And so you understood it. Players understood it. The fan base always understands it because they never change. But now in the NFL, because of free agency, good for the players, by the way, because they can create opportunities for themselves, how they play. They get paid money. So free agency has become where players don't stay on teams as long as they do. Larry Fitzgerald's unique, and I know Larry, and great for Larry. But it doesn't happen, okay? And so players, because they move around so much, and because of social media, they're in contact with each other so much. They work out together. That was not back in my day. You had a telephone. You didn't work out together when the guy played for the Giants or the Broncos. You didn't work out with those guys. You worked out with your guys. And so it's different now. More of college, they get it. Okay? High school, generally, they get it because it starts there. It starts in high school, then it goes to college, and you understand the rivalry games. We still understand the rivalry games. We when I sit in my living room, you understand, okay, Michigan State, we get it, I mean, you just get all these things, and so when you get to pro football, it changes. In college, 119 years, it's a pretty good rivalry, by the way. Okay, so you got to figure that out. I mean, that's kind of important.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
You anticipate having any conversations with Teddy Bruschi this week about the game?
Teddy, I might, him and Darren work on Fridays. Darren Woodson. And so I was on their show about 2 weeks ago. They had me come on. I was the secret guest. They didn't know. And Teddy's a good friend, and so was Darren. And I probably have to call him this week before they get on the show and talk to Teddy a little bit. Now, we do have Antonio Pierce here now. So it's he might talk to the team. How about that? That'd be kind of an interesting conversation, wouldn't it be? So and there's a lot going on, and it's a fun week. It's going to be a fun week for us.
Alec Hendon, House of Sparky. Coach, you guys have faced your fair share of really good running backs this season. You get another challenge this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys go about trying to stop J.J. Taylor when you guys have been better at stopping the run here but have struggled at times on the road?
Good question. Number 21. He's a good player. He's a really good player. 5'6", 190 pounds. Has over 1,300 yards rushing. He's a dominant player. He really is. Reminds me a lot of our guy. I mean, you know, and they use him on, he's a return guy, too. Fabulous football player. He really is. And they run the ball very well. What happened to him last week, they got behind. They couldn't run him as much. So he's probably, he's rested because they had to throw it a lot. But he's really good. Him and the quarterback. Quarterback's fantastic. He's a great athlete. He makes plays you can't coach against because you don't see it on film until it happens. It's the unannounced play. That's what you worry about him with. And he's really good running and throwing on the run. You know, so they've got some explosive players there. Which, you know, concerns you because when a quarterback leaves the pocket, first of all, you got to try to tackle him. He can run fast. You know, he could probably run faster than half of our defense. So that's a problem. You know, so they present some problems offensively and defensively. They can play a lot of man-to-man and they pressure the quarterback. So this will be a tough football game for us. And it go on the road. And we need to learn how to play better on the road. There's no doubt about that.
Coach, you're talking about defense, obviously, as well. I know you said in the past, I mean, look into the future of these young guys. But at this point of the season, I mean, they're not really freshmen anymore. I mean, even in this game against Oregon, I mean, yeah, there were a few plays here and there, but it just seemed like as a unit, they're getting it more and more. With what Coach Gonzalez is doing, you guys always say coaching better, but what are you attributing that to? Because it just seems like every game, I mean, we do see the improvement defensively.
Well, it's experience, and I think the more you get it, you go out there. You know, Cam Phillips is a prime example. Played a little bit in SC, then from there played a little bit more against UCLA, and this game, you know, he had to start, and you can see in their eyes now, like, okay, the speed of the game is not a concern anymore. I can play. I can play at this level. And it happens at all. It happens in pro football the same way. When you're a rookie, you come in the league, and all of a sudden you go, oh, these guys really run fast. But I just think it's their experience. And I think this, too, when you have that many freshmen that play, the ones that didn't play early, they watch those guys and go, I want to be part of that club. Well, compete and perform, and you will be. And I think that is our calling. Our calling is this, and it starts with recruiting. I mean, the guys that come on the weekends, we say, look, talk to the freshmen. Talk to our freshman players. And if you are a good player and you want to compete, you'll have an opportunity to play. You wait till you see how many guys play next year. I mean, that's what we're going to do. This is a pro model. We said that. And if we do it right, guys that have the ability to play at the next level will graduate in 3 years and they'll go to the NFL. And we're selling that. Big time. And that's what we want. We want young players to come in here and know that, you know what, if you're a good player, you're going to play. And if you're a junior or senior, if you let a freshman beat you out, so be it. Then you didn't compete. But it's a level playing field. And that's how we're going to do it. And that's how you create competition. That's how you become a good football team. And so those are the things we're going to try to go after as we recruit and continue to try to build our program. That's the mindset.
You mentioned Luganville and Antonio. Are there any specific stories they've told you about this rivalry?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you guys.
Okay.
I'm not telling their stories. Some of them you can't talk about on, you know, it's not children's version, you know, stories. I mean, so hush hush.
Okay, and then also I wondered, you played in Cal and Stanford. Was there anything that happened in the Cal-Stanford game that you remember?
Big game and never lost Stanford. Never lost Stanford. Nope. Played them twice, never lost them. Always got an interception against Stanford. All right, what else you need to know? They call it the big game.
Did you feel the intensity of that rivalry? Do you remember that?
The biggest rivalry for me growing up was the Monterey Toreadors against Seaside Spartans. Never lost to the Spartans. 3-0 against the Spartans, high school. They're pretty good, too. 3-0. Yeah, I mean, you enjoy it. Players get it. They get it. You know, and then when the game's over with, they'll text each other and tweet each other, yeah, you know, and they'll do what they do. I mean, they know each other. That's what makes it different now, because these guys know each other, right? And they know they're good players, and, you know, and they'll compete, and when the game's over with, going on a bus, coming back, they'll be tweeting, you know, what they did, and they'll guys be tweeting back at them, and it's part of it. It's sports, and I just think it's the fun part of it, you know, when you get a rivalry game like this. I mean, you're talking a long time ago. I mean, you're 119 years. That's long. That's a lot of games. You know, that's history. And you know, the guys who, I think we have the cup, and you know, we're trying to keep the cup. And if we don't, then we got to give it to them. And you know, there's a lot of things going on. Now, not the real one, because the real one's in the library, and we did white glove. You don't let you touch that one, but I get all that. You know, so there's a lot going on. I mean, it's fun. It's good for college. Good for college football. That's unique. That's what makes college football so exciting, you know, in my opinion.
Coach, Kevin, someone mentioned you actually came and talked to his team years ago to
good friend of
rally
mine, yes, sir.
Just how do you know him?
Just through coaching, and he asked me to come down and visit with him and to visit with his football team, and I was delighted to do that. I did a lot of that when I was working for the Worldwide Leader, he had a good team. He had some good players down there, and you know, stayed down there for a day or so and visited with him. And so it was a nice conversation. And when he got here, when he took the job here, I got in touch with him, wrote him a little letter. Him and Coach for Arizona, for the Cardinals, wrote him little notes. But you know, this coaching profession, we're all kind of all wound together some kind of way, you know. But he's a good football coach. He's a very good football coach. He's done a good job as a college football coach.
Coach Tim Ring, you say you have one hit left, right?
One.
You got one.
You want it?
If you had to use it, would you use it against Seaside, Cal, the Cowboys, or now the University of Arizona?
If I had it,
Yeah.
who would I use it against, sir? When you say the Cowboys now, that's a whole different level. I mean, you're going to a different level when you say the Cowboys now. That's oof. Probably Seaside High, be quite honest. High school, because that's when it all started for me. As I said, my coach, 88 years old, came to our UCLA game. That was a proud moment for me, you know. So he taught me how to play football. You know, and really the rivalry of it. You know, see, and I would say Seaside, and I say it in a glowing way, because I grew up in that community, and I got bussed. I actually got bussed from a predominantly neighborhood to another neighborhood because of the desegregation program. I should have went to Seaside High, and everybody will tell you in that town that, you know what, one of the best players ever in our town had to go across the tracks and play at another school. And so it's kind of bittersweet, you know, because I grew up thinking I'm going to Seaside High, and then not so fast. They said, you're going to Monterey High. I said, really? So that was interesting. You know, to go from a neighborhood to go to another place that was like, really? You know, and that's where I met Coach. And so that's why I say that, because there's so much history involved in me not going to Seaside High when I lived in that community and got bussed. You know, caught a school bus at 7 o'clock in the morning, trying to go to another high school that I had no idea, didn't know anybody. So, you know, to me, it's more than just a game when it was talking about that. It's part of my history, part of my upbringing. So I would say that one. Not trying to take away from this game, not at all. But that was me growing up, learning how to be a football player, going into a different community where people didn't look like me so much, you know, dealing with that. So to me, that's what that's all about. Anyone else? All right, good, thank you.